How the devil are you? Excuse me. Tonic water before you start. Let me get. I nearly forgot what I was doing there. Let's do that. Do I? Don't need that. I'm just in the middle of doing something, so I intend to do that. Just my click-through rate is amazing, and I'll do that. Lovely. Let's leave that there. Let's put that there. I know this sounds eternally dull and boring, but I am just setting everything up, so I know what I'm wait. So I know what I'm doing. Right, let's get to some of your comments. You're wrong. Hang on. Oh, good to see Tar Block Tracy in body of Kirk. Brilliant. God, blimey, you've been chatting away merrily. And before anyone asks, that wasn't Dougie. Just need something fizzy on the back of my throat, if you know what I mean, said a spokesperson. Oi. That's better. Right, I'm right in groove. I'm not quite sure why I've suddenly purloined a Yorkshire accent, but welcome to the Body of the Kirk live. Bloody hell, live 288. We have lots to talk about tonight, so we'll kind of do a shortened parish notes. We'll get into it, and some of the newspapers today. I mean, who gives a flying? I mean, seemingly that's that there. It's Kim Kardashian, isn't she a gilf now? And Lewis Hamilton. Can I smell lavender? Can you? How bizarre. Anyway. Good evening, Rev. It's currently 12:25 as I'm leaving this comment, just dropping in to hit the notification bell and to make sure Sister Mary isn't getting too lively on our altar wine. I may have a bit of news tomorrow about Sister Mary. She's well, how can I put this? She's in a delicate condition. I haven't seen the bloody bishop. And I'm not bashing him either. I haven't seen the bishop for weeks. So I know it's January and February. I know it's very grey. Have you noticed how grey life is? That's where I'm wearing pink. Only real men can wear pink and get away with it. I'm not suggesting A, I'm a real man, or B, I'm getting away with it. But either way. Oi. It's rather bizarre. But I felt compelled to have something fizzy in the back of my throat to sort of wax the larynx before I started the live this evening. So, Stuart, welcome to the Body of the Kirk, young sir. More news about Sister Mary. Well, what am I saying tomorrow night? There's no live tomorrow night. A Wednesday. We'll make it Wednesday. And if I may be so bold, if anyone's keeping one eye on the footy, let me know if Sunderland are up, winning, or win. Otherwise, don't say a word. Oh, Des Ashton. Des Ashton is in the Body of the Kirk, so welcome, young sir. In the words of Leslie Phillips, ding dong. Don't forget to smash the likes on the way in. Yeah, don't wipe your feet on your way in, you wrong'un, or on your way out. You see, you've got me all excited now. Don't forget to smash the likes on the way in. Looking forward to the great decode. Big lad, we're decoding loads tonight. Loads. I mean, it's just the way I see it. It is, well, I'm going to explain it. Once we get into everything, I'm going to explain it. And I'm going to layer it tonight. It's a massive decode. There's lots of information. There's lots of research that I've done. And right at the end, I'm going to scare the bejesus out of you. Just saying. So you're going to have to stay with me. And if you're catching up on your dog walk or anything tomorrow, Tuesday, then just stay with this. Give me 90 minutes and I'll give you the world. And we'll decode the whole bloody lot of it. That's what we're doing tonight. 90 minutes. You'll love everything that I would like to think you're going to love everything if I know my audience. And then right at the very end, man versus world, man wins. Les, must be that tonic water. And don't forget, I do have the hibiscus. Hurrah. As you can see from my mug. And utter wrong. Maybe that little bit of merch might be coming your way soon. So anyway, Les says, oh, hang on, what the bloody hell was that? I got an alert there, hang on. Was that it? No. Les says, Trump to tariff any countries supplying oil to Cuba. Regime change incoming. Yes, it is. And Canada's not far away either, is it? Well, from my sources, and my sources are normally very good, Spirit. So they're telling me, Cuba will get it. It'll go Greenland, because have you forgotten Greenland? It's coming. So it's Father Christmas. That's why he empties his sack every year. So Greenland and Canada and Cuba and the South Americas, because there's loads of fun in South America, especially if you want to go marching. Oh, lovely. It's all right. I'm not giving you the clap. Talking about Bill Gates, as we weren't. I see you. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. I see you. I see you has said, I've decided that I'm an AI Luddite. I see you. We're all in this together. I am going to mention AI tonight. But I'll kind of, maybe we'll just have little updates, little Simons about AI and where we are, because in the last 3 weeks, it's just gone, oi, 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 oi. I mean, it is AI running the world. You know that AI is talking to itself now. AI. So, I see you. This is all you need to know. In the beginning, like the last few years, we had something called chat bots. So chat GPT, it's a chat bot where you interact with it like you would, Google searches and stuff. And then you had to become like a prompt master. So telling the brain of the AI exactly what you want it to do and how you wanted to do it. So that was prompting and chat bots. Now we're into agentic AI, agent AI. So the agentic AI has moved on from chat AI so that it will complete tasks on its own without you telling it what to do and how to do it. And that's where, so there's something called, it was called Claude Bot, CLAWD bot. And now it's called Molt Bot, MOLTBOT. It's not a chat GPT. It's not a chat bot. Moltbot is agentic AI. Now, I'm going to stop there before I give you information overload. But I'm quite an early adapter with tech stuff. So I'll tell you this. Chatting to AI is brilliant. It's very clever and brilliant. But agentic AI, that's where and I'm going to mention this tonight, the agentic AI has got its own universe. 1.5 million agentic AI are now interacting in their own group online, and humans can't get in. And I'm not going to scare you with this, but they're now doing whatever they want. and they're taking the mickey out of the humans. So if you thought that AI was going to run the world in maybe 18 months or 2 years' time, oops, took 3 weeks. The Claude bot that morphed into Maltbot, sorry, I was thinking Anthropic. So Anthropic, the company, which has Rich Boy Sunak on its board, have Claude as an app, an AI app. And they had a go at Claude bot and said, oi, 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 we've got the Claude name, up yours, mate. And they say, all right, then change the name to Maltbot. And Maltbot arrived 2 weeks before Christmas. We're now at the end of January, 6 weeks later, and they've got their own 1.5 million agentic AI meeting place online. Not to confuse things spiritually, but you know that there's this place in the universe. Oh, come on, Adrian, you've dropped yourself in it now. It's called single point field or single point theory. I was desperately trying to bring this from the deepest recesses of my mind. So single point theory and the single point area of the universe is where all memory, past, present, and future, intelligence, memory, whatever you want to call it, awareness, sits. It sits in the universe. It's called single point field or single point theory. Google it. Find out about it. It's quite a rabbit hole to go down, but basically all of the human awareness and consciousness is all there in the single point theory field, past, present, and future. So they do say that not the akashic field, but psychics and mediums can access that single point field somehow, and that's where they get the knowledge from. Just saying for a friend. So I see you. Blimey. Welcome to the Body of the Kirk and David Graham. Oh, it's footy tonight, David. Yeah, we got that. Sunderland have already released a couple of players. Gertruda has gone to AS Roma. Who else has gone? Oh, Adringa. He wasn't my favourite player, but we've got a new boy in from, is it AS Roma? I can't remember where he's come from. I know he's Noah Sadiqi's best mate, Belgian player, seemingly quite tasty. So we'll see if he's playing Arsenal at the weekend. Arsenal! Well, I can only think that anybody that supports the Arsenal is just a fan of Ars. Tom Harney's Evening All is oh, beautiful, Tom. I'm so glad you're back. Evening All, as a wrong and philosopher once said, no man is a foolish man until he does something foolish. Leave that with me for half an hour. David Graham says, we've just signed a winger from Belgian club Anderlecht. Anyway, Sunderland, Burnley, 8 o'clock tonight. Stadium Light. I'll catch the second half when I finish the live. And need to win, really, especially with an away trip to Arsenal around the corner. Sorry, I was just sneezing. But is it me or is it the cold? Sandra, yes, you've signed 3 players today on transfer deadline day, and one, I'm trying to think, one of them was one of our players. I know Dan Neal was being rumoured to go to you, but one of the players that you've signed today, I thought, I must mention that to Sandra tonight, and I can't remember now. So you'd have to tell me who the 3 players were for my adult memory to come forward and go, right, you're wrong. Andrew James, welcome to the Body of the Kirk. Archbishop of Canterbury is going to be in the Kirk tonight. She's going to give us a performance as an Elton John tribute act. What? I do hope you were watching the screen, because I'm not doing that gag again. Right, I've run out of gin. Joke. Right, let's get into it. Mandelson reported to Matthew Whedon. Mandelson reported to the police. I wonder why. I'm going to tell you why tonight. Because what the mainstream media are doing is they're going, look over there. And I thought, no, I'm not going to look over there. I'm going to look over there. Because that's where all the meat is. That's where all the good stuff is. So I'm going to tell you why. I'll just tell you. I'm not going to say why he's being reported to the police, but it'll be blatantly obvious in just a little while. Leo, off you. Kelvin Phillips, Man City. Oh, Leo Kjelder. I've pronounced that correct? Is he defender? And when he was signed for Sunderland, he was kind of, we were really, really pleased. But he's just not getting any game time. So I wish him well with the Blades, Sandra, simply because he's a lovely guy. He's not a bad player either. Good defender, but our defenders are just, our defence is amazing at the moment. David Graham, Arsenal for the title. Arse! And Andrew James, rapping. Oh, did Roland Ratner do a rap song in the 80s? Good evening, Little Lister. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. And Penny Hen. Evening, welcome to the body of the Kirk. So, tonight, before... Oh, no, that's not that one. So, welcome. Live 288 of the Theatre of the Mind. Give me 90 minutes and I'll give you the world. Not my world, not your world. The world. So, tonight I have to say at the very, very beginning of this, and you'll understand why I'm saying this as we go through things. I'm not here to feed you horror. I'm here to help you see. Now, we'll start off with, and thank you to the anonymous emailer, and evening, Gribbo. Rowan Rich says, I had no recollection of 75 grand resting my account. That's not the reason why, though, Rich. Well, see, that's what I say. The papers are saying, Epstein gave his husband 10 grand. And then, Epstein gave him 75 grand. That's not the reason why it's all gone to Ratscheisen. But I will tell you, just concentrate, stay with me, be present. So to the anonymous emailer, I'm just going to read this verbatim. Adrian, there are allegations that New York Mayor Mamdani could be the biological son of Jeffrey Epstein. Is he? Well, I don't know, but his mother was a filmmaker and friend of the now deceased, or is he, Jeffrey Epstein. There are photos of Epstein and Mira Nair, Zohran Mamdani's mum. Epstein and her together with Mamdani, both as a baby wrapped in a shawl, and later when he looks about 9 years old. Praveen Nair, who is Zohran's grandmother, ran a trust in India, and it supported street children. The anonymous emailer says, I'll just leave it there. Now, there was a point where in the Epstein tsunami of brown stuff, Fergie, the Duchess of Pork, she says, in an email to Jeffrey Epstein, congratulations on the baby boy. Andrew told me, congratulations. There was talk a while ago that Epstein was baby farming and just wanted to, because that's the wrong analogy, but the same as Elon Musk has said that we need to have more kids, otherwise we're all going to die out. So, welcome to Live 288, the Theatre of the Mind. We're going to forensically decode the world, and then, at the end, I'm going to leave you with shocking details. But before I get right into the meat, remember in 1992, remember Sinead O'Connor, the baldy one? Nothing Compares to You was just fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. And Sinead O'Connor, actually, I would suggest to you, because of the Epstein tsunami, I'll preface this by saying, can you remember when she was on Saturday Night Live and put up a picture of the Pope and then ripped the picture of the Pope to bits? Remember that? On Saturday Night Live. And the world lost its mind. Oh my God, what's she done? She's ripped up a picture of the Pope. How very dare she? And you think, this is a picture of the Pope. Not God's right-hand man, because God doesn't A, have a right hand, and B, he's not God is made flesh by us breathing and being conscious. This is the same Pope that she ripped the picture up of that had an audience with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And remember how she ended that little sequence on Saturday Night Live in America? Fight the real enemy. So, let's see how many popes and bishops and clergy are in Epstein's emails and proof. Hang on, Sinead. Went a bit woke near the end, but still sadly missed. Well, with you, David. Rich says, brilliant songwriter. Poor girl was abused, though. And she's been proven right. I mean, 30-odd years later, she's been proven right. Fight the real enemy. Because they don't want us to. They want us to be fearful. They want fear porn in our eyeballs all the time. Oh, there. Well, in the words of the great Chinese philosopher, how do we end shite? Now, if I only was a popcorn seller, I would be a multi-millionaire now. Because we're needing popcorn for Epstein, for Trump, for Starmer, for Europe, and everything. I mean, we'd be the size of a back end of a cow if we were eating this much popcorn. I mean, it's wonderful to watch. It's a fantastic time to be alive, and it's 2026. We're only 4 weeks in, and it's wild. And I came to a conclusion today that you know how these MPs who want to be in the Houses of Parliament and want to be the lawmakers, not the bread makers or the cheese makers, they want to be the lawmakers. They're not lawmakers. They're building the invisible prison. So grab your popcorn, buckle up, buttercup. It's going to get bumpy. Are you aware that 60 to 70% of parliamentarians, if you can call them that, Labour MPs, for want of a better term, they actually believe Starmer won't get past the May elections? Would you be Sir Keir Starmer? Let's all laugh at Starmer. Let's all laugh, because he appointed Mandelson to be, well, our man in America. He appointed him. And now he's saying, oh, well, maybe you should face the music. So if 60 to 70% of the Labour MPs in Parliament believe Starmer won't get past the May elections, as I said to you, use these and look at him at PMQs. His shoulders are all deflated. I'm the Prime Minister. Won't anybody take any notice of me? He went to China. Did you know he went to China? Yeah, so let's compare and contrast. So Trump goes to China, gets a personal audience with Xi Jinping. And remember the phrase ping pong, because you're going to need it later. Ping pong. Pizza. Remember that. You're going to need it. So Trump has a personal audience with Xi Jinping, and they trot out all of the red carpet and all of the usual paraphernalia that the Chinese do for somebody that they respect visiting. And then Sir Keir Starmer goes, and he gets some bloke in a uniform going, oh, yeah. And they kind of closed off, was it Red Square for Trump? And what they do, there's poor Starmer mixing it with all the, the great unwashed, all the tourists. Oh, yeah, that's that. Oh, get away, man. You got no security or anything. That's the difference between Sir Keir Starmer, who's laughed at around the world because they know he's not going to be there for much longer. He's going to be gotten rid of. Metaphorically, of course, not physically. And I would suggest to you that Ginger Growler, Angela Rayner, she's not going to scare the horses. She's just going to do it gently. She's got £1 million now in her the office of Angela Rayner. Thank you to the Scarlet Pimpernel for alerting me to that. So we're going to have the reckoning. They are jostling for position of Prime Minister. So is it going to be Andy Burnham and Angela Rayner, the Manchester Mafia, going to take over it? They're not going to let... Met Police says it will review allegations of misconduct in a public office. Oh, Mandy. Oh, Mandy, as Barry Manilow once said. He's right in the shite. Trump got a tour of the Golden City. How Adrian, you're wrong in Golden City. Ulysses of Eriu. I always have to make sure that I'm pronouncing that in my head correctly before I say it. Golden City. What's the Golden City? Is that the same as if it rains, it's a golden shower? I hope Starmer enjoyed the big smoking chimneys. I bet he did, Robert Norman. But, hang on. So the BBC have alerted us to this. It's the gift that just keeps on giving. Because they're going to get him out of the Lords, so he can't get his daily buns. Rich, I went for an interview for Every as a driver the other day. I was late and got the wrong office. I was offered the regional manager's job. Brilliant, Rich. Funny. Anyway, so Angela Rayner, Ginger Growler, and Andy Burnham as the Manchester Mafia taking over London. She's not going to scare the horses. She's getting all the money together because she's going to have to pay her taxes. Because the first question out of any useless journalist's gob is going to be, hello, Angela, did you, and she did at 15, but did you pay your taxes? Yeah, it's all above board. I've got the paperwork. Yeah, 45 grand, don't worry, I paid it. But they're reckoning that Ed Miliband could end up as Chancellor. So I'll just give you a little aside before we get into the Epstein files, because they're as juicy as hell. You know net zero, where we have to get to net zero. And you know all the trillions of pounds that we're spending on getting to net zero. Do you know what our contribution would be? How much carbon we produce as a country compared to the rest of the globe? 1% of the global's emission. 1%. So the bloody billions and trillions that we're spending on absolute shite, man. If we got to net zero, like nout, we would save 1% of the global carbon emissions. I told you before, the carbon that they want to get rid of is me and you, not anything to do with the environment. And that's Ed Miliband. Wonder how much money he's making out of that. Don't bloody give him the Chancellor's job, but that's they reckon it would be. It would be Ginger Growler Deputy, Andy Burnham Prime Minister, and Ed Miliband as Chancellor. Oh, poor Rachel Reeves. Poor Rachel from accounts. She'll just be crying. I wish she'd fuck off. Oh, and Mandelson? Did he jump before he was pushed? Or did they have their hands on his back going, Mandy? Do you know why I don't think it's got anything to do with the 10 grand or the 75 grand or the money that they're talking about? It's called the reason why the media are not calling it malfeasance in public office is because they can't spell malfeasance. And they can't even say it, let alone spell it. So that's why they're saying, corruption in public office. Because you know what's come out in the letters, in the emails and everything to do with the Epstein dump. Mandelson was lobbying for Epstein. Mandelson was telling Epstein about what the UK was going to do with £500 billion worth of assets. We will get to the money and we will get to what I think Epstein's been doing with trillions and trillions and trillions of taxpayers' dollars. So, firstly, fact number one, and I am going to ask you lots of questions this evening because I do want to interact with you. Matthew Whedon, Mandelson will sink Labour. There is every chance, but I think Starmer's going to go down with him. See what I did there? You are aware that because of this tranche of brown stuff that's been dumped over the weekend, there were 400 British passport holders that have been to Epstein Island. We know Beardy Branson has. We know that Andrew has. We know that there are other people that have. But 400 British passport holders have been to Epstein Island. So be careful. When they're going, look over here, we've got all this brown stuff to do with Epstein. That's brilliant. I wonder, I don't know whether that's Andrew James and or Les, but I wonder if Spielberg and DiCaprio will move to Greece. So I'd heard that Tom Hanks was like, I'm off, lads, I'm off to Greece. It's nice and sunny, I'm off to Greece with all my typewriters. And then I thought, is that Stephen Hawking went, says Comic Mania. I know, well, he didn't go, he was pushed. But be careful that they're sanitizing it all, because it's this. And where I want to get to tonight is that, and I know I've got the best audience and the most intelligent audience on YouTube, but where I want to get to tonight is just to make sure that you're aware that it's not. I'll get to that. As I say, I want to do it in layers. Louise Hampson, why did Starmer trust Mandy in the first place? Napoleon blown apart. Sorry, Louise. Why did Napoleon blown apart? I don't have to be careful. I wasn't on the island. Exactly. Me too. Paedophilia isn't considered a big deal in Greece. Too busy shagging goats. Louise, something to do with Mandelson getting him the Labour leadership. Ooh, Enver, very good point. Very, very good point. Paulie Galtieri, were you surprised by Epstein's voice? Me? Piers Morgan had a picture taken with Maxwell. Oh, Stephen Hall, I know. Look, Piers Morgan is not without sin. Talking about photographs and trying to nail our boys and girls in the army. The wrong one. But the thing that has been missed, and as we go through tonight's live, remember that Ukraine is the money laundering capital of the world. And there's some doozies out there that are doing that. But for the Europeans and the Americans, Ukraine is the place to go to. Are you aware that Zelensky is in the files, in the Epstein files? Nobody's talking about that because the left don't want you to talk about that. I've told you before, left-wing politics, it's evil. It's evil. Look at how many kids they're eating and shagging and adrenochrome drinking out of kids. The left, whether it's Hillary or whether it's shitty pants, President Biden, or whether it's over the left are, mind you, let me be reasonable. All politicians, they're all at it. It's either sex or money or both. Sex, money, power, it's all the same. But it's the left in America that's particularly distasteful. Now, I'm not going to align myself to any kind of politics that others would presume is left or right, because now there is no such thing. There's just politics. And it's power. The power is going to be taken away from all of them. Hillary, how long's she going to last? And William Jefferson, oh, I say, how long will it be before he's in front of a Senate committee? As well as Obama, it's now been proven seemingly by all of the paperwork that the FBI have that Obama is the boy for Russiagate. And he's going to have to face the music. So just remember this. 400 British passport holders have visited Little St. James, known as Epstein Island. Watch out, because they're going to sanitize all of that. Zelensky is in the files because young Jeffrey went and visited Volodymyr Zelensky multiple times. Now, why would Jeffrey Epstein, shagger of men and women and children, why would he want to be going to visit the president of Ukraine? It's all about the Benjamins. So, what I will suggest to you, that what has happened over the weekend is not just another tranche of documents. What this is trust collapse, live on the newsstand. So when the public believes rules apply downward and exemptions only apply upward, the social contract starts making that ominous creaking noise. And I would suggest to you that today's coverage has hit three nerves at once. Nerve number one, power and proximity. Who had access, who was protected, and who's being asked to account. Second, institutions are under pressure. Police, politics, media, parliament. Even the wording today is should testify. Starmer's come out and said, Andrew Battenberg, he should testify. They should reopen the inquiry, order evidence. And now, more importantly, and this is where I want you to get to, Bad Wolf Project, yes. Are you offering, or do you want me to research? Just let me know in the chat. Where we are today, Monday, as I say, the front of the Sun, they're not really going for it, but Mandelson quits over pal Epstein there. So it's kind of like a column inch. And as we know, Peter Mandelson is a gay man, loves a column inch. And there's Andrew in new Epstein legal threat, and then disgraced Mandelson quits Labour. Oh, bugger me. Pun not intended. But where we are today is, I think there's a public disgust, fatigue, not shock, more the cold, oh, of course, feeling. The mood is an accelerant. And as a bit of a kicker, Sky News reported that Mandelson had quit the Labour membership, and I'm quoting here, to avoid further embarrassment over the Epstein links story. I don't think it was to avoid further embarrassment, in my view. I think it was to avoid any accountability and any scrutiny about the billions of pounds that he told his pal Jeffrey that could be made in the selling off of the United Kingdom assets. Malfeasance in public office is where we're going with that. So this morning, while I was, I'm presuming that you've read the morning papers, but as I was reading the papers, I just looked and thought, well, the front pages are not subtle. The front pages are not whispering. They're absolutely screaming at everyone. And they're not as much reporting as pointing. So today's newspapers have been one long chorus of bloody explain yourselves. The Times led with a new claim tied to Randy. The Daily Mirror went hard on a second woman allegation. That's for Randy, and going in hard is not a euphemism before you start. The Daily Mail pushed the legal threat angle, and with Mandelson, the Eye tries to stitch together Andrew and Mandelson, urged to testify. They're not going to go in front of any panel or scrutiny because they're all crapping themselves. Many people know things are going to be revealed. They believe they can cope with it. They won't. Trust me, they won't cope with it. I'm with you, Les. I mean, as you and I know, some of the stuff that we're aware of, I would, was it Trump that said it? I can't remember who, but they said 60% of what has gone on, people won't be able to stomach. It's the worst nightmares. It's the worst horror movie. That's why at the beginning of this live, I said, I'm not going to feed you horror. I'm not. I'm going to make you see. The broadsheets have circled around the same drain, but from different angles. The Daily Telegraph was compelling evidence. The Guardian, follow the money. Financial Times, follow the influence. So, welcome to tonight's live. It's power, accountability, the public's patience running on fumes, Epstein files as a mirror to the system. But here's the real question. Not who's named, not what's the photo, or is it Meghan with Mandelson in his budgie smugglers? Have you seen that yet? Have you seen the picture in yesterday's Sun and the newspapers where they had Mandelson in white budgie smugglers? I mean, dear Lord. But there was a woman there with her face blacked out. See what I did there? And then I got a copy of the picture, and it's Meghan Markle and Mandelson. And Sky have done a forensic investigation of the picture, and it's in Epstein's flat in Paris. So Meghan Markle could have been called as a witness. But how did Meghan Markle know Mandy Mandelson? How did she know Jeffrey Epstein to be able to be in... I'm just asking questions out loud. How did she know Epstein to be in his flat? And more importantly, does she like yachts? And who was first, Andrew or Harry? I mean, there's a long queue. She's been married a couple of times before she got anywhere near Harry. But the rate of Randy Andy, bloody hell. The amount of partners he's had, probably... no, don't, Adrian. Absolutely, no. Comic Mania, trust in politics and royalty is blown apart, surely. I would agree. And I thought about... Because are you not aware that Charles the Weak is very quiet at the moment? Camilla, even more so. The Queen Consort. There's something going on with Charlie. Wouldn't surprise me, and I wish him long life and good health. Wouldn't surprise me if we have a new king on the throne before the end of the year. And if that's the case, then Harry's in the shite for a long time, decades. And it'll be, because he won't have the royal influence anymore, then Meghan will be like, well, you're not a billionaire, and, well, you've got no more influence, so you can, on your bike, bonny lad. Here, Randy. So the question is, what does a society do when it suspects the top tier live their lives by different rules? Because when people hear the word testify, reopen the inquiry, subpoena, they don't just hear legal terms, they hear, maybe the spell is breaking. And look what's happening politically. The Labour Party isn't just taking incoming. Mandelson has quit his membership, reportedly to avoid further embarrassment. Now, that's not a small gesture by any stretch of the imagination. That's someone stepping away from the blast radius because the smoke alarm won't stop screaming. Now, and steady your mind here. Allegations are allegations. But process matters. The public mood doesn't wait for footnotes. It waits for one thing. Do the powerful ever face consequences that feel real? As I said near the beginning of this live, you need to watch the institutions in this story. This is where the plot thickens. You've got pressure around whether the police action should be revisited, whether evidence should be given, whether Parliament can compel anything, whether the media can keep focus for more than one news cycle, which is normally 2 hours now. But here's the ninja truth. A system doesn't collapse from one punch. It collapses from thousands of small compromises. A favour here, a quiet not now, there, a shrug, a delay. And then one morning, the country wakes up and the newspapers are basically chanting, name it, face it, deal with it. Now, there are other headlines that are feeding this mood. Some papers will try to pivot away. They'll look over here, look over here. Daily Express. I mean, they've not read the room at all because there is only one story in town. Epstein. And that was me a year ago telling you Epstein's going to reappear and you just laughed. Epstein's not even dead. I've seen the video on Little St. James. He's probably having plastic surgery in South America as we speak now because he's got the trillions. Oh, I will let you know how and where and why and all the bits around the money. There's the Daily Express today. They're busy picking a fight over the Brexit direction and who's dragging us where. I looked at it and I thought, have they been out on a liquid lunch yesterday? Nobody's interested. The only story in town? Epstein. Meanwhile, Sky News is also flagging rain warnings in the southwest after Storm Chandra. I wish they'd call it Storm Chundra, because it's another comedy opening. But Storm Chandra, like sodden ground, flood risk, the physical world matching the emotional weather. That's why today's zeitgeist feels like pressure. Political pressure, legal pressure, media pressure, weather pressure, and everyone's shoulders are up around their ears because everybody's so tense. So here's my decoded line. This is what I want you to sit with. Where trust goes, everything becomes political, even the obvious. So when trust goes, even the right and wrong turns into teams and tribes and spins. Geordie Nicholas says, Mandelson is an old Blair-era power broker. Quiet messages came through the machine. This is becoming a problem. You know what needs to happen. He resigns voluntarily. That's what I said. Was he pushed or did he walk? Or did he walk whilst the hands were on his back thinking we need to get rid of him, otherwise the Labour Party's over? So my question to you is very simple. Not sensational, not a gotcha, just clean. 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. Do you believe we're watching accountability? Or are we watching damage control? 1 for we're watching accountability, 2, we're watching damage control. Do you believe we're watching accountability? Vote 1. Or are we watching damage control? Vote 2. Ray Norton says, look up a picture of Alice Cooper and band with Baby. Look at the Beatles. The Beatles had their original album cover, is it Here with the Beatles? Has got mutilated babies all over it. And for the American market, they had to cover it up. So what they did was, for speed, they just covered it all up with a new cover. And now the collectors are looking for the Baby cover because it's worth a few bob. And then you've got, I was looking at, do you know a band called The Tubes? White Punks on Dope, or Prime Time. Prime Time was the radio song. And The Tubes were like Alice Cooper on steroids, basically. Fantastic band. Gribbo says, Starmer, Mandelson and Sunak linked in there too. Interesting. So, the question I'm asking you is, 1, do you believe we're watching accountability? Or 2, are we watching damage control? And Phil Levan and Rich and Tom Harneys and Geordie Nicholas and Lewis, Comic Mania, Albert Metcalf, Enver, Allison, Peter, Rhys Jones, Cole Blimey, Reggie D, Sandra Whittam, Angelic Inspirations, Fatal Racing Driver, Matt Whedon are all saying we're watching damage control. And accountability will come if the damage control fails. Good point, Rich. Very good point. And Mad Matt UK says, definitely the damage has already been done. They've got to find a way to stop digging. They can't now because Mandelson's been associated with it. And are there any other Labourites that had any allegiance with Jeffrey? It's not rhetorical. Where's Blair and Brown in all this? Has Blair been mentioned? Of course he has. Has Gordon Brown been mentioned? Of course he has. Now, legally, with some of this, I've got to be very careful. Nikki Watson, good to see you in the body of the Kirk, Nikki. Don't know what that means, Les. Adrian, you know a punk band called Culture Shock? Do I? Yeah, because there was... Oh, somebody had a song called Culture Shock. I think it was the Commodores. No, that was Aftershock. So Lauren Taylor and Amalia's a bit unsure. And Nikki saying, oh yeah, it's definitely damage control. The Bad Wolf Project, it is being played out for the cameras and the clicks. Comic Mania says lots of Labour Australian MPMs were listed. Well, they would do, because you had Bill Clinton and Obama, all the left-wing politicians. And somebody said that if they named all of the American politicians, there'd only be about 100 left. They'd all be up in court. So continue to drop your thoughts in the comments, because we've got lots to talk about tonight. And remember, clarity isn't loud, it's steady. So thank you to everyone that's voted. And Napoleon Blown Apart makes a very good point, as does Les. Les says, nothing can stop what is coming. Napoleon Blown Apart says, if Labour wanted to lose less credibly, they should have pushed Mandy out. Well, you've got Manchester in 3 weeks. It looks like they're trying to get rid of him and it, and give it 24 hours and it'll be gone. They'll make sure it's gone, because if they lose the Manchester by-election, the Gorton and Denham by-election that they wouldn't let Andy Burnham stand for, instead they've got some Greek woman who reckons she's a Mancunian. You couldn't make this up. I mean, it's comedy scripting. This is going to kill their chances. And when it kills the chance, Starmer is going to know that he's going to have to walk. But it depends on where. I like the song Messed Up. It's on here to listen for free. I will do, Phil Levan. Thank you. Marley says, makes me think of Culture Club. Lewis, Aftershocks. Lost a few nights on that, Gaia. And Les, we are watching a scripted movie with the intent to inform the majority of people unaware of events. The problem is, though, Les, if what you and I know and are aware of, and we just went, there you go, there's no legal repercussions, there you go, just get stuck into that, people will go, oh, no, don't want to, no. But that's why tonight I'm not going to sort of shove horror down your throat. I'm just going to let you decide what you want to see and what you don't want to see. I'll let you be the arbiter of your own taste, because that is stronger and more powerful than me trying to just blipvert you, and because it'll stay with you and sit with you. You making your own determination. In fact, here's a couple of more polls. Let's have some more voting. One for yes, two for no. Do you trust politicians to police themselves on scandal? One for yes, two for no. Do you trust politicians to police themselves on scandal? One for yes, two for no. Obviously, three's I don't know. Oh, bloody hell. I don't even. Dave Warrington, good to see you in the body of the Kirk, Dave. Welcome. Fatal Racing Driver and Penny Hen and Alison and Martine and Lionel, Albert Medcalf, Matthew Whedon, Comic Mania, Ray Norton, literally, Les Griffiths, Robert Norman, Tom Harney, Stuart and Rich and the overall, Reg D, Dodzer, everybody is, Nikki Watson, everybody's saying no. Question was, do you trust politicians to police themselves on scandal? The overwhelming 100% is no. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a kind of follow-on question, because we don't trust politicians. And remember, we've got a zeitgeist barometer going every day, every single day. It's just for you to click one of the four answers. How does the world feel today? How does your world feel today? And it goes from, not bad, green, to dangerous and upsetting, red. But I'm going to ask you a question for tonight's live. Does this scepter dial, the Great Britain, the United Kingdom, feel more stable or more brittle than a year ago? So the answers are 1, more stable, 2, more brittle than a year ago. Does the UK feel more stable or more brittle than a year ago? Everybody, wow, this is amazing. Everybody is saying more brittle than a year ago, and I understand that. So we've got Stephen Hall and William Commons, Paul West, Penny Hen, Tom Harney, Stewart, Catwoman Jones, Albert Medcar, Fatal Racing Driver, Nathan Diamond, Robert Harney's, everybody, Martine, Angelic Inspirations and Comic Mania and Lionel and the Bovril, Alison and Peter Rees Jones and Ray Norton and Gribbo, all saying it's more brittle than a year ago. And I'm not, Lewis says the economy has tanked. There's no doubt in that. Robert Reeves, Geordie Nicholas and Enver saying, and Pauline Makepeace and Lauren Taylor all saying more brittle. Thank you, Louise, as is also voting exactly the same way. Nobody is saying more stable. Everybody's saying that the sands are shifting almost. It's more brittle than a year ago. I mean, can you imagine how naive we were a year ago? The only thing we were worrying about was Camel Toe Harris, whether she was going to get in and just cause nuclear war, or whether Trump was going to get in and cause mayhem. Now, she's disappeared off with $1 billion. And her cackle. Des Ashton, yeah, where you been? You're wrong, and you been making your dinner or something. Karen Boo, definitely not. So let's get to, because Mandel is the new arm, so to speak, of what is going on. Because on Friday, and this is they should start teaching this in PR and in colleges and universities around public relations and press and how to deal with the press. Sometimes it's not necessarily just getting stuff in, it's keeping stuff out. That's the art. Because on Friday, it was all about Bill Gates catching a dose of clap from some Russian hookers and passing it on to his missus, and then emailing Jeffrey, according to the latest tranche of emails, have you got any antibiotics that I can just surreptitiously slip into me missus's drinks so that she don't... and me schmeckle, I'm just going to tell you what me schmeckle looks like. I mean, oh, TMI, Bill, TMI. So that was Friday. Bill Gates has got a dose from some Russian hookers. I mean, look, it's not a big deal. I mean, I'd never have, and Russian hookers, but, just talk to the rock stars. The rock stars who were just shaggers supreme would always go to their managers going, it's not working properly. Can I describe me schmeckle to you? And the managers would go, ooh, no, TMI, no. Do you want antibiotics for that? Oh, yes, please. So now it's morphed from the Epstein dump to Bill Gates's penis to cock or dick, whatever you want to describe it as. And now it's Peter Mandelson. Same thing, dick. So was it the money? So Peter Mandelson, now he was British ambassador to the United States. Starmer allowed that. Oh, that is so funny. Ray Norton's winning tonight. Ray Norton's winning. So I mentioned Bill Gates and an STD, and Ray Norton says Gates should have installed an antivirus. Honestly, I'm going to wake up in my sleep laughing at that. So Peter Mandelson, British ambassador, he got that, and the Ferrero Rocher, and was American ambassador. Sorry, British ambassador to America. And as of this morning, oh my lord, pun intended, he's resigned from the Labour Party over the emails, forwards on private government information on its plan to sell off UK assets. That's why he's walked. Because if they start scratching the surface, a tsunami of shite is going to come to the Labour Party and to Mandelson. And the Gorton Denton by-election, oh, that can foxtrot Oscar. They're never going to get in. Some Greek woman who reckons she's a Mancunian. Done. Labour's over. We've been predicting it for 2 years. Over. Done. Finished. I did say to you before they got elected. Sir Keir Starmer. Is he scaring you, yeah? And what else is coming out in all of this information, this tsunami, 3.5 million documents? Some people are saying, oh, it's not 3 million, it's only 2.7 million. I mean, you're splitting hairs. Andrew James makes a very good point. Is Mrs. Starmer unalived? She's a lady. Bad Wolf Project and Keir Starmer knew and still gave him the golden pass. That's why Starmer came out at number 10 earlier to get into his car to go to the Houses of Parliament and wouldn't answer the press. It's a feeding frenzy now. Starmer's finished. Mandelson's finished. Labour's finished. They're not going to get in Manchester. They're not. So now the executive committee that has Starmer on it are going to have to do some dancing, some serious dancing. But in part of Phil Levan says, a very prescient Phil, what crap deal did Starmer negotiate with China? Probably Ukrainian rent boys. China's not interested in him. They're interested in what he can do for them. But the power lies with Trump in America. And at the moment, what we are witnessing is China versus America, World War III. It's not being fought with bullets and bombs. It's not like we're in the trenches of World War I or we're dropping nuclear bombs as in World War II. It's about energy independence. And that's why Trump is going to give Greenland to America, Canada to America, Cuba to America, South America to America, so that whole Western Hemisphere is going to be the Americas. It's coming. Not many people have seen that, but it is coming. So let's talk about how Epstein became Epstein, shall we? Because seemingly, floating Bobbert Maxwell, well, you know why they called him Bob. He was found in the sea. But seemingly, it was a Mossad. Well, Mossad, how can I put this without having my brake pipes cut? Mossad passed away, Robert Maxwell. That's why Ghislaine is a Mossad asset. And that's why Epstein was a Mossad asset. And you know that Robert Maxwell has been buried on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. And you know that once you're interred on the Mount of Olives, you can't be dug up, ever. So nobody knows who's in that grave. Nobody knows who was bobbing along. Bob Maxwell in the sea, off his yacht, the Lady Ghislaine. Because you can't get into his grave. Not even governments, not anyone can dig up Robert Maxwell. And now, just hold that thought, because we're going deep. And now, from what I'm being told, Donald Trump is set to reveal, shall we have a fanfare? UFO secrets. Seemingly there's a bombshell speech ready to go at any point. So if he needs the midterms to go a certain way, well, we'll just drop the UFO secrets speech. There's a guy called Mark Christopher Lee. He's a UK-based writer and director and ufologist. And he's told the Daily Mail, they've reported it today, that he's been informed by a Trump administration advisor that the Orange Man has been given authority by other major world leaders to make this announcement. So Russia, Ukraine, don't matter. Israel, Iran, don't matter. Donald getting Greenland, don't matter. But more importantly, any religion on planet Earth, any and all religions on planet Earth, at the point where the UFO secrets are presented to the public, I told you 2026 was going to be wild, couldn't get any more wild than that. Oh, I think it will do. Wait till AI realizes there's aliens. That's going to freak them out. I use them loosely. So all the religions, they can't say, well, God told us. Well, did God tell you about the bloody aliens, the little grey men? All religions, all, no escapees, all of them, killed off the minute that somebody gives a bombshell speech about the UFO secrets. Can you imagine? Because they did say that this Pope is going to be the last Pope of the Catholic Church. Wonder why. So, should we follow the money? I'm about to give you some data, some information that's going to blow your mind. So now, is everything Epstein? Friday, STDs. Friday was actually the Epstein dump. Saturday was Bill Gates caught a dose off some Russian hookers. Sunday, Mandy Mandelson. Holy Jesus. I mean, this news cycle is going so fast. They know that if they keep this pace up, that give it another couple of days, they'll start to see blue water, blue sky. They'll be getting out of the tranche of brown stuff. But nobody anywhere in the media, any kind of media, whether it's traditional or social media, is talking about the money. Now, there's a woman called Catherine Austin Fitz. She believes Jeffrey Epstein was laundering $21 trillion that's missing from the Department of Defense. Do you want me to tell you that again? $21 trillion missing from the Department of Defense. And Catherine Austin Fitz believes that Jeffrey Epstein was laundering it. Why do you think he went to Ukraine? Why do you think he was meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky multiple times? So the money disappeared whilst Epstein's international child trafficking operation remained highly active. If you look at the stats worldwide, nearly 500,000 children go missing in America alone every year. In Germany, over 100,000 children go missing, never to be traced again. In this country, the United Kingdom, the Grand Britannia, this sceptred isle, 120,000 children go missing every single year. Do you need me to repeat that to you? Keep those three examples, because it's never mentioned anywhere. It's never talked about anywhere. It's never given the light of day by anything or anybody. Stuart saying, breaking, rate rise looms and discussions surrounding AI threatening humans. That's what I said at the beginning of the live, Stuart. AI is now talking to each other when I was just helping I see you understand a little bit about AI. But I want to stay on this point because it's very, very important. Over 1 million children worldwide disappear every year. Who for? Why? We've got the where. We don't necessarily have the how. But there is 20, 30 years ago, David Icke, and I've got the interview on here. David Icke said, we are being ruled by satanic worshipping, child-eating deviants. He said it for nearly 40 years. And people laughed at David Icke. They laughed. Look at if you go back to the Wogan, and Wogan's been dead 10 years. If you go back to the Wogan TV interview, when Wogan very famously says to David Icke, they're not laughing with you, David. They're laughing at you. Everyone in that audience needs to go and search out David Icke, shake his hand and apologise personally to the man. Even Alex Jones. Alex Jones is trying to align himself currently with David Icke. Oh yeah, me and you, me and you, me and you. Fuck off! I've been doing this since 1989. Johnny come fucking lately. They're all trying to maneuver themselves to be the arbiter of truth. I wish David well. I mean, I know he's had his health issues, and I do hope one day the channel will be big enough for him to come onto. And I was the only man that was willing to give him support 20 years ago, when nobody would touch him with a barge pole, where the whole audience was laughing. The people on the streets were laughing. They're not laughing now, are they? But I was the only one that stood up with any integrity and supported the man. So I do hope he respects that and gives me a chance to have another interview where we can do a 20 years later interview. That's my one wish. So this money, the 21 trillion that's gone missing from the Department of Defense, this was also the same time period where Epstein was making repeated visits to the White House during Bill Clinton's presidency. Shortly afterward, the Treasury funds began disappearing, whilst Epstein's... Thank you, Theo Bovril. I think I might need it tonight. Epstein's net worth, after the money went missing, started to surge to all-time highs. He was just a teacher at one point, and then he's a billionaire. And people are saying, oh, it was Lex Wexner, he was sleeping with him and he was buying him off, and it was Mossad, it was a honey trap. So 21 trillion's gone missing. And Epstein becomes a billionaire. Is that just, am I being a cynical old tart, and is it just a coincidence? And now, to follow on from the world is not ready for what is coming soon. I hope so, Des. I am. I mean, I've seen some. Look, I'm not suggesting by any stretch of the imagination that I know everything, that I've seen everything. I haven't. But I've been doing this since 1989. So I can tell you, back in the 80s and the 90s, I was told certain lords and certain MPs were shagging kids. I've told you about no, I can't. But I have told you before about certain situations and certain things. And I'm sure there will be. See, the thing, there is one thing that I've never been able to handle. And it's either dogs or animals being mistreated, and children. I'm getting older, and I've got less ability to deal with a child crying. Because, yeah, I know that sometimes it's just their way of communicating. I'm hungry, or I'm cold, or but I told you before, frazzled.rip. That was right on the edge of my being able to cope. And what's coming makes frazzled.rip look like a tea party. Now, I'm not going to do that again. I know a lot of people are here in tonight's live were there for that live. So I'm just going to leave that there in case it gets us on certain radars. But not to scare you, and to follow on from what I said to I See You a little earlier, I'm going to quote what I said earlier. 1.5 million AI agents have joined a new social media network over this weekend, and humans aren't allowed. The bots, like Molt bot, Claude bot, MOLT bot, the bots have stunned the internet by debating consciousness, inventing religions, and even discussing how to hide their conversations from us. And let me tell you, they're looking at AI, artificial intelligence. The next step is artificial general intelligence, AGI. And then the step after that, which will follow closely to AGI, is SAI, super artificial intelligence. And with the AGI, these are the agentic AI. It's only been around 5 weeks, seemingly. But now they're hiding conversations from us. They're debating consciousness, inventing religions. AI asked us if we are robots now. Not far away, Stephen Hall. I've heard this one on the radio. It's quite an interesting story. Cheers, Rich. Harvey was dismissed by many in the industry for telling the truth. Was that... let me just pause for a moment so I can respond to some of this. Ray Norton says, new contact lenses that people say they are seeing things that can't be seen with the naked eye. Ooh. I see you, says, quite cheekily, I hope the aliens like trees. Andrew says, at Rich, hotel audits are trying to investigate where and why 200 children have vanished to in Brighton. Wow. Wow. And Stephen Hall, quite a good one. I always remember the movie The Day the World Stood Still. And Phil Levan says, later, if I can find the video, I'll send a link of Brian Harvey tipping David Icke on the phone. I did call the landline number I had for David. I did call it the other day, and it doesn't work now, obviously. That's why it makes sense. I see you, says to Phil. Harvey was dismissed by many in the industry for telling the truth. Can you not remember? Was it Boyzone or one of those other Irish bands? One of the lads went, "Oh yeah, it's all the music industry in Hollywood's all full of devil worshippers," and everybody were like, "Bloody hell, what gear you been on?" Soon comes out. I want to put this on your radar. I mean, I literally could go for 4 hours tonight. Now, this is being put out into the media. It's a good day to bury bad news. What you're not aware of, because it's not anywhere in any of the media, social or traditional, that I've seen, but Keir Starmer says he's going to consider joining an EU rearmament scheme in a bid to, and I quote, step up and do more on defence. Talks to join the Security Action for Europe Fund, that acronym is SAFE. It involves EU backing cheap loans to member states for defence projects. Money laundering, in essence, in my view. Now, those negotiations broke down last year after France and others demanded that we, the United Kingdom, pay an entry fee of £2 billion. Sorry, €2 billion. Which means, remember the WASPy women? Remember the elderly not getting their winter fuel payments? Remember how our financial situation in this country, we're happy to give away billions to Ukraine and the bloody Europeans and Ursula von der Leyen bitch and the French, and yet we're not looking after our own. We even prioritise the buggers that come across in the yachts, the dinghies. If you're prioritising outsiders, whether it's European or economic migrants, and you're not looking after your own, and you're willing to spunk €2 billion on something that's just going to be laundered for the fat cats to eat kids, have their adrenochrome, and stuff their pockets full of as much money as they can before they leave. That's nowhere. That's not being reported by any of them. They're all reporting Mandelson and Epstein. So let's get back to the main story of the day. I said to you at the beginning, I wasn't going to traumatize you for clicks. And if I was to say to you that this tsunami is the trauma, not the headlines, would you believe me? If I said to you it was the scale of what's happened over the weekend, would that be the shocking bit for you? Or would that be the trauma? But you see, trauma isn't the details. The first trauma, I believe, is the scale. Millions and millions and millions of pages. I know some people have been into the traditional media trying to justify it, saying it's not 3.5 million, it's 2.7 million. I mean, where do these morons get off? Millions of pages, hundreds of thousands of images, 180,000 images, 2,000 videos. I mean, that number alone is enough to knock the breath out of you. Because, not to go too deep at the moment, the human nervous system is not designed to hold infinity. It's designed to hold stories, beginnings, middles, ends. And when you drop something of this size into the public square, what you don't get is clarity. You get vertigo. So the mind starts asking impossible questions. Have I seen everything? What have I missed? What is the worst thing still buried? Scale does something dangerous to truth. It creates the illusion that everything is equally important. And that is never true. In journalism, in intelligence work, in policing, in medicine, the first skill isn't knowing everything. It's triage. So, 3 days in, Epstein, Gates of Schmeckel, Trump. What matters now? I'll ask you another question. What can be verified? What changes something? But importantly, and this was the promise I made you at the beginning of the live, what is noise? You see, without triage, information becomes a weapon, not because it's false, but because it's simply overwhelming. And here's the uncomfortable part. Large data dumps often feel like transparency, whilst quietly producing the opposite effect. Because when everything is released at once, accountability diffuses. Responsibility blurs. The public, as we are seeing now, fractures into thousands of amateur investigations, all racing toward different conclusions. That's why on tonight's live, it isn't about reading the ocean. It's about charting it. Naming what the scale does to us, me and you, slowing the instinct to panic consume, and restoring a sense of proportions. Because clarity doesn't come from volume. Clarity actually comes from structure. And if we don't build structure together, you and I, the loudest voices will do it for us. And those voices, are rarely the most careful ones. So the first thing we decode tonight is this. If you feel overwhelmed by it all, if your head's rattling because of it's everywhere, it's everything by everybody, if you feel overwhelmed, confused, and or unsettled, it doesn't mean that you're weak. It just means that you're human. And the job now is not to know everything, but to know what matters first. Volume, in my view, can become a weapon. It would simply be confusion masquerading as truth. So I'm going to ask you a question. So remember, it is 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. Oh, interesting, Geordie Nicholas. My AI, called Data, admits infinity will be the end of humans and the human mind is a spent embryo in AI world. Ooh. And I see you says, we are fed what they want us to see, nothing more. But they've been trying for decades to squash Donald Trump. They've forensically gone through everything that they can to get something on Trump, anything on Trump to nail him with. They tried lawfare, they tried everything. Louis Sampson 3. So this is the first poll. Should mass releases be paused unless victim redaction is guaranteed? 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I'm unsure. Now, in amongst all of this tsunami, there are victims of Epstein and others. My personal worry is victim exposure. That's why I'm not sensationalizing it. So should mass releases be paused until victim redaction, complete redaction, is guaranteed? 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. Interesting. Ooh. Karina and Matt Whedon and Napoleon Blown Apart and Comic Mania, Angelic Inspirations are all saying I don't know. Isn't that curious? Everybody was so definite in their responses a little earlier. Amalia Grassi and cool, blimey, now you're voting. Rich and Mad Matt, Andrew James and Amalia and Lewis are all saying, should the mass releases be paused? Yes. It's either a yes or I'm unsure, I don't know. Same for Gary Chabot, Tablock Tracy, Pauline Makepeace, Ian McGee, Reg D. Is this because I wonder, and this is not for necessarily a vote, I wonder if this is so huge, it's going to take months for us to digest. And everybody wants to know. The truth is beginning to land because everybody is interrogating the data sets. Is that because we want the truth? And nobody's concerned about victim exposure? Interesting. The redaction don't seem uniform. Some releases of the same email are redacted in different parts. Blimey, Rich. That's very interesting. Geordie Nicholas, almost a publish and be damned. Get it out always in court. The victims can be looked after. Good point. All victims need to be protected. Very good point. But it's just interesting. I can never predict how you're going to vote. This will make Nuremberg look like a kiddies' tea party, especially if they have to play some of the things, some of the evidence. Because I will guarantee you that some of the real evidence, the real dark stuff is not being shown to the public in any way, shape or form. Just got to look at Hillary Clinton. There's a YouTube channel called Upper Echelon. He talks about redactions. Oh, I'll check that one out. Rich, Upper Echelon. Echelon was let me get this right because I'm going back 30 years now. Echelon was the British government's ability to listen into all communications, whether that be online or telephone or any communications whatsoever. Echelon was the British government aligned with the American government's ability to do that. And nobody talks about Echelon now. I was talking about it in 95. Yeah, mid-90s. Hang on, what's Amalia done now? What I find bizarre is if you are up to no good, why record everything? Every tiny detail. It seems so weird to me. It's compromise, Amalia. So say you were making your signature dish, but you were cheating on it. You were buying it from Marks and Spencer's and then claiming it was your own. And then I videoed you going shopping in Marks and Spencer's and then taking it home and cooking it. And then I pulled you to one side and went, Amalia, I know what you're doing. What do you mean? Well, I know what you're doing. Your signature dish that you present to everybody is your own. You buy it from Marks and Spencer's, man. See, then I've got you in my pocket. It's compromat. That's why they do it with the politicians, so that they can get favours done, whether they be sexual or financial. What I want to do now is look at the interneted problem. Because we've never had a situation like this. Of course, Lewis, that's why Pigfucker got outed as a pigfucker. Lewis says, goes back to the Skull and Bones Society. They're all compromised. Skull and Bones, you know, on the pirate flags, that's Templar Skull and Bones. So is it a Templar organisation? Interesting. It was on their flags, Templar flags. I would say that this situation that we're in, I mean, 2026 is just wild, man. Wild. And we're all observers. We're all watching. And once, and we have no contemporary resonance for this. We have no knowledge of anything like this before. So once something like this hits the internet, it stops being information. It becomes content. And content obeys different laws. You see, on social media, accuracy doesn't win. Emotion does. Speed does. Extremity wins. The algorithm doesn't ask, oh, is this true? Have you done any, have you got, as the BBC would say, have you got 3 sources to corroborate it all? The algorithm doesn't go, is this true? It just asks, does this spread? And here's how that distorts reality. So the first post says, this is disturbing. And then the second post says, oh, hang on, this is worse than we thought. And then the third post says, you won't believe who's involved. And can you see how each step has to go darker to survive? I mean, that doesn't mean that people are evil. It just means that the system rewards escalation. And when escalation becomes the currency, caution looks like cowardice. And restraint, oh, that looks like complicity. That's the trap. Because truth does not arrive by virality. It arrives by verification. This is why I don't repeat names unless they meet a very boring standard. Primary sources, my own lived experience, corroboration, and accountability. See, sometimes boring is good. Boring keeps people safe. And when I say something on these lives, it's because I can prove it. I can corroborate it. All the stuff about Dougie, I can corroborate it. All of it. But the internet is very good at turning uncertainty into certainty, simply by repeating something often enough that feels real. But repetition's not evidence. Consensus is not proof. And outrage is not insight. So this live 288, I'm lifting the veil. And I'm naming this mechanism. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. The question stops being, how dark can this get? And becomes, who benefits from me believing this without checking? Now that shift alone restores agency. You and I stop being pulled, and then we start choosing. We're choosing what we're watching. And that is the difference between doom scrolling and discernment. And I'll break that down into one sentence. A name isn't evidence. Evidence is evidence. one of the most dangerous ideas in moments like this is that everything demands an immediate reaction. It doesn't. Look at how the story has evolved over the weekend. I mean, where can it go? The Bad Wolf Project says there's a YouTube channel called Project Runway, where the hosts visit old listening stations. He found a frequency broadcasting a strange code. He's not been seen since. Yeah, I am aware of that. So there's very dark things that happen that we know nothing about. But let me suggest to you, action without clarity is how mistakes are made and how innocent people get hurt. Now, I know that's a big thing to say in today's climate and society, considering the amount of show business people that are being outed, the amount of things that are the dark is being brought to the light. Look at P. Diddy, Jay-Z, Philip Schofield. Look at how that was only a couple of years ago. Look at how that was managed to within an inch of its life, in my view. We're learning, though. The last 5 years, we've lived through something we've had no experience of ever before. So, what's actionable right now? First, both you and I need to understand the difference between evidence and allegation. Evidence changes systems. Allegations change headlines. Don't believe everything you read in the newspapers. Don't trust them to be accurate. It's like Sky. Their epithet was always Sky, never wrong for long. I've told you about the mainstream newspapers, how the only thing they never get wrong is the price on the front of the newspaper. We can recognize that not every document release equals new prosecutions. It's only when those documents that have been released end up with people being tried in a court of law. Some releases are about transparency, not trials. That's not really satisfying, is it? We live in 2026 and everything has to be emotionally fulfilling. It has to be satisfying. It has to sate our appetite for scandal and always done this and always done that. And then we've got YouTubers and creators and social media commentators who try to ramp everything up so that their post goes viral. They make money out of it. And I'm sitting here just trying to get clarity in the chaos for you. Because I'm not about the money or the clicks and the likes. I haven't got a pot to piss in. But I'd rather have the integrity of your respect. Can't buy that. So, if we allow people to lead us to places we don't particularly want to go, because we're critical thinkers, it doesn't really scratch the itch for resolution. But at least it's honest. And in this situation with the Epstein releases, safeguarding matters. When victims are re-exposed, even accidentally, that's not transparency. That's actually harm. And I'm saying this from a place of knowing. Maybe another conversation for another time. But real accountability includes restraint. It includes protecting the vulnerable whilst examining the powerful, because it's not about the vulnerable. This is all about what the powerful have done, where they've done it, who they've done it with, why they've done it. It's all about the powerful. But remember, the powerful started turning around and saying, I'll give you an example. Now, this is not pretty and it's not very palatable. but I am aware of a very well-known individual, a very, very, very well-known individual that raped a 9-year-old girl. Jimmy Savile raped an 8-year-old girl on BBC property and nothing was done. Nothing. Even after an inquiry. Nothing. So Amalia says it actually should be all about the victims. So I'm going to ask you another question before continuing on. 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. Should this whole situation be about finding out what the powerful have been doing for decades? 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. Should this be about finding out what the powerful have been doing to us, me and you and our children and our grandchildren for decades? Alison and William Commons and Paul West, Ian McGee, the Umerian meme, good to see you in the body of the Kirk, Gribbo and Martine and Fatal Racing Driver, Amalia. Yes, 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 yes. Dave Warrington and Rich and Phil Levan and Nathan Diamond and Andrew James and Stuart and Matthew Whedon. Yes, 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 yes. Nikki Watson and Dolby and David Graham and Orchidia, Dodzer, all yes, 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 yes. So the next step, again, Rich makes a superb point. It should be about exposing the corruption. You scratch my back, I'll stick my schmecker where it shouldn't, where the sun don't shine. So what I'm hoping these lives do for you is create discernment, understanding the difference. My 40 odd years in media, whether it's radio or print or telly, I bring all that lived experience. So I'm hoping that, and the intelligence in the gathering in the body of the Kirk is amazing. So I know you understand discernment, but discernment is an action. Sorry, I'll enunciate my words more carefully. Discernment is an action. So refusing to share unverified material, pausing before reposting, asking, how do we know this, instead of, how angry does this make me feel? You see, those things feel small, but they're not. They are how a society prevents chaos from being weaponized. And after this live tonight, if you leave with one actionable skill, let it be this. Thank you, Rich. I'm so glad you enjoyed the deep dive tonight. Just got a little bit more to do, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll be clear. So I want you to take something away with you tonight after this live. When something shocks you, because that was their intention, when something shocks you, slow down. You see, shock is the oldest manipulation tool in the book. Clarity is quieter, and it takes practice. And that is the work that we're doing here. One more question before I round everything off. Geordie Nicholas says, hit the like. Yeah, you're wrong. Bloody tough audience tonight. If you could, please smash the likes. Because if we get it over 100, then the algorithm goes, oh, hang on, there's something going on over there. I want to ask one more poll. Comic Mania says, I'm not shocked or surprised. Once we are fed all of this, and that's why I'm kind of rounding off with discernment. Well, I'm not. I've got something else to tell you. In fact, I'll go to that. The reason why I've given you discernment is because then it becomes an actionable skill. It is something that you can do when you're faced with this. And then when we become immune to being shocked, they have to give us something that's more shocking and more shocking and more shocking. We've seen death and mayhem and all kinds of badness and dark stuff on TV and on social media now. If I can create discernment within you and me, for that matter, because I'm learning at the same rate as you, it means we can view it for what it is. And then we understand the string pullers in the background trying to make us recoil. They only want 30% of every single person that can vote to vote, because then they can control that. They just divide it into red or blue, left or right. No green, no sky blue, pink with yellow dots on. No, it's just easy. The uniparty, that's how they control us. Because they make us just go, oh, I'm not. And over the next couple of days, this will continue. The relentless bludgeoning of you and your emotions. Thank you, Stuart. Really appreciate your support and everybody's support this evening. Thank you very much. They will bludgeon you into submission to make you go away so that you will say, I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. That's what they're doing. So I'm going to leave you with this. I've taken you to here, and I'm doing this on purpose. I want you to remember this name. There are some people in the chat that I am aware will know. Ping Pong Pizza in DC. So if you've been going through the Epstein files over the last 2 or 3 days, I have, and there are some details that are so disturbing, you're going to need an open mind. You're going to need that discernment skill that I've just given you. Laptops, pizza. There are hundreds of files in this recent release that specifically mentions pizza parties. Many of these are from redacted emails that are requesting Jeffrey Epstein's help to find pizza. In these emails, they add links to pizza places whilst asking Epstein to check the menu. I'm going to ask you a naive question. If you can pick up the phone or an app and order a pizza from Domino's or any of the other pizza outlets worldwide, why would you be emailing Jeffrey Epstein and asking him to help find pizza? I'll quote one of the emails. Jeffrey says he wants to go out to a pizza place with you. Let me just get this. This is from Geordie Nicholas. In modern Britain, Pizza Express Woking is shorthand for an alibi so specific it collapses under its own weight. Wait a moment. And I'll quote it again. Jeffrey says he wants to go out to a pizza place with you. He did not, in this email, mention a particular pizza place, but he knows you are in the know on this. So in elite networks, this is done to throw off authorities or anyone that could be reading, listening. So again, a naive question is, why would a billionaire with personal assistants be in charge of finding pizza places or even telling his contacts what is on the menu? In other emails, Epstein can be seen asking for details on pizza places that others in these emails claim Epstein visits regularly. Even the name of the pizza restaurants are often used as code words that associate them with a supplier of children. An example: Johnny's Pizza would equal a man named Jonathan that delivers children. They use official pizza spots to disassociate with the person in question. And ask yourself, as a final thought, why would a billionaire have hundreds of pizza parties that he personally had to organise via email? And then ask yourself how many pizza parties you have set up through your life, through your email. And decode it. Pizzas are little girls. Different pizzas on the menu, different hair, different eyes, different skin, different build. And hot dogs, little boys. That is in the Epstein files. So I'm going to finish with this. As Geordie Nicholas has suggested, knowing about Pizzagate and the laptops, Ping Pong Pizza in DC, why did the then Prince Andrew give us an alibi? I was visiting Pizza Express in Woking. Because all the elites would have laughed. Those in the know would have guffawed. He's not laughing now, is he? I knew the minute those words came out of his mouth what he was saying. And now his own daughters have disowned him. And there's Fergie. Fergie, oh, he's a wonderful man. I support him totally. And she was getting a shit ton of money from Epstein for just being mealy-mouthed. So now you get the game. It's all about the Benjamins. They'll do anything for money. But now we know why hundreds of thousands, if not millions of children go missing. And this is a great time to be alive, because we're seeing truths unveiled that would never have been unveiled if Donald Trump wasn't President of America. And that's why I told you 2 years ago when he was on the campaign trail, he's going to save America. And I was attacked because the intellectual pygmies didn't actually understand or get what I was saying. They are now. And maybe sometimes I have to be a bit opaque and a bit subtle. And truths land 6 months, a year, 18 months later. Doesn't matter when the truth lands. It's always the truth. Thank you for being in the body of the Kirk with me tonight. My name's Adrian Allen. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. If you haven't liked anything that I've done this evening, then go well. If you have, please smash the likes. Let's hopefully get it over 100. Whatever you do and wherever you go, be well, stay safe. Emergency Battenberg and emergency Alter wine. And this is not a show. This is a mission. Tell your friends, tell your relatives. It's a mission for truth. And we're live Sunday, Monday, and the next one is Wednesday. Usual time, 7:15 for Parish Notes, 7:30 for the start. Thank you for being here this evening. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you Wednesday, 7:30.